This is a question for videos ago, and I can't even remember somebody's name if they asked me a question in a previous video, so fat chance with you, pal, but thank you for giving me content, and if you'd like to help the cause, aka my job, can you give me questions for me to answer? I think it helps everybody that way, and by everybody I mean me specifically. Now, let's talk about you for the rest of this 15 minutes or however long I'm going to rant before I haven't figured it out yet. And, you know, judging by how it's starting out, this is going to be one of those ones that I just go like, for about 5 minutes, and then at the end I'm just like, yeah, but actually, you know what, I do remember this one point that I read 5 years ago. That was worth 20 minutes of your life. Now, here's the point. He was asking, do I actively seek for a relationship or do I just let the relationship come to me? It's the classic divide in self-help. You've got to go out there, get life and choke it. This is the planet. And then I'm imagining that's Antarctica that you're sucking the blood out of. I got a freezy part. That's one angle, and then the other one is obviously to just let things happen. But obviously, it's a mixture of both things, isn't it? Especially when it comes to a relationship. But here's some tips on how I think that you should go about setting the grounds for a relationship. The first one is you should be doing things that you're interested in, and you should be joining societies and whatnot that are in that specific set of field, because the number one key indicator of a long-term successful relationship is, are the two people that are in a relationship at their core sort of the same person? There's an extensive study that the Germans did, always them, eh? Scat-eating freaks. They did, I think, about 10,000 relationships, and then they categorized them in precise German form. And they found which of these were the most successful. And the most successful were always people in a relationship who shared the same values. If you're going to be in those two different relationships, it's always, look, goths are going to end up with goths. Nerds are going to end up with nerds. Oh Lord, how I know nerds end up with nerds. Every single time you see some chick in a cosplay uniform, who's their boyfriend? One of those little pale rat men that's just like, I'd scratch my chest because I'm very itchy, but there's so many pimples, I don't know which one I want. Acne scars for life or the sweet, sweet alleviation of now. They're who they usually end up with, aren't they? Aren't they? And then the other ones that always end up with each other is suits end up hanging out with suits. If you are not in alignment at your core level, whatever that is, with the person that you're in a relationship with, there will be inconsistencies and there'll be even just a natural push away from each other as your lives move in different directions. And that's fine, because that's a little something we like to call life experience. But the other one, have you ever heard that before? And somebody pointing at you like this as well? How rude is that? I don't care. That's the kind of YouTuber I am. One of those ones that doesn't give a fuck. And by saying doesn't give a fuck clearly indicates they do. The other one, which is every male YouTuber, I think, and every female YouTuber is like, somebody wrote to me, commented about me, and I'm going to have to cry for half an hour. Well, it's content, isn't it? This is what everyone gives a shit about these days, isn't it? Just like, I don't give a fuck. There you go, just watch that, maggots. Soups up, piggies. The other one is that soups up, piggies. Jordan, you truly are a good comedian, aren't you? Can't even speak English. Comedian. There's that theory that goes with that. So you should be finding people that you would be able to share a common set of values with. That's how Matchmaker works. So do what the 3,000th most popular website on earth is famous for, and thank you, match that way. But then the other point that I think is very important is that I am a huge subscriber to the idea that a lot of it comes down to a successful relationship, that is, neurochemistry. I was reading this book, I can't remember what it was called now, but it was by Helen Fisher. Why him, why her? I've talked about it extensively on the podcast, and if you're not listening to that, there's something else for you to just jam into your ears while you're on the train. Just fill it up with us. There's not enough people on the planet that are just bearing each other's asses and spanking them until they go, stop, this is borderline homosexual rape at this point. Not enough. So we've got that as well. Just just everything at you constantly, all the time. But you're never not out of your life. Go buy tickets to my show. They've got this idea that goes back throughout history that if you look at major philosophers, they're always categorizing people into 4 different groups. And I can't remember what those are. A, because I wasn't reading it properly, and B, because I haven't read those philosophers. Even though I quote them all the time, it's purely just from self-help books. I think philosophy's a waste of time. Ah, here we go. Look at all the angry comments there going, are you saying my major is a complete waste? Yes. So, yes, so the 4 categories that she was, because all these philosophers just keep going and breaking people up into 4 basic types of human beings. Not very romantic, is it? Video about relationships? But there is. I strongly believe it, because as soon as I tell you these 4 types, you are going to see it. It is like getting decoded in the Matrix. Sorry, I just watched Matrix Reloaded a lot. There's going to be a lot of references to that in the next couple of videos. They have put it into 4 different types of chemicals that your brain functions off of, and that naturally your brain moves towards accessing. Now, are you ready to have your mind blown? I guess so. I can't hear you, so I'll just assume that you said yes. The first one is a testosterone brain, and that's mine, because as you can see, peak form of men. But it's not even about being a man. It is that on average there's going to be a lot more men that have a testosterone functioning brain, but there are women. Hillary Clinton's a classic example of that, and I'll get back to the Clintons in a second. When can you not? Because they're part of the eye. But the other, but there are women that are also high in testosterone. Hillary Clinton's a good example of that. But testosterone minds are basically autism. There, I said it. That's pretty much what a testosterone brain is, because it just focuses in on a couple of subjects that it's really interested in, and then sits in a room for the rest of its life reading about it, and then on their deathbed, when they just close one book and then they look at the huge library of unfinished books, they go, well, I tried, and that's the end. They're experts in a couple of fields. This is why there's the difference between men and women that I keep going back towards, which is that women are much more socially intelligent, which is an estrogen brain, and men are a lot more intelligent in one field. That's why there's a lot more geniuses on average than men. There's also a lot more idiots on average than men. But when a male brain works well, it works really well because it's able to focus in on that one task, and it's able to become an expert in it, indispensable in that field. That is the plus sides of a testosterone mind. The minus sides of a testosterone mind is that, again, just because it's pretty autistic, they're just like, what, I said something? What, it's not okay to just joke about someone's mom dying? Why not? Why not? You're still alive, celebrate that, toots. They've got that kind of mentality, which is that they are not particularly socially intelligent. They're very curt people. They're not interested in hanging around. This is what happens normally when I'm speaking to people. Sorry to take away the magic when you meet me after a video, usually then I'm kind of hammered. It kind of helps. But the thing is, when a testosterone brain is not doing what it likes doing, it starts getting impatient and curt. That's one type of human being. The people that they should be matched up with is people who have a brain that is high in estrogen. Now, this can be either male or female, but on average, vastly on average, it is a female. Now, actually, Mislov is high in estrogen. If you just look at him, in fact, you can see the differences in testosterone and estrogen faces. And there will be traits that they're trying to find now as we speak, actually, that are high in the next 2, which is serotonin and dopamine. But we'll get back to the ones that we actually know about. How about that? Talking about things that are just semi-based, in fact, as opposed to, let's just go back to phrenology to figure out what people high in dopamine look like. Someone who's high in testosterone usually has the chiseled jaw. They usually have the square head. It's very blockish kind of, because it's just that they're basically, their brain is fashioning the very physical nature of their body to just be this bulldozer through society, just be like, you're not gonna stop me from learning about ants. But a female's brain, a brain that is high in estrogen is usually much softer in features and has more of a face. Pretty much, the difference is Somebody who is high in testosterone is going to be sitting in their room all day studying. It's just your classic science professor that's just going. Whereas an estrogen brain is the Marge Simpson. That's a very nice chick, Kearney. They're very interested in people. They're very interested in social dynamics of people. Who likes who? Why don't they like each other? They like talking to people one-on-one. They're very interested in knowing about someone on a deeper level. Those two get along well. So if you are high in testosterone, you should be looking for somebody who is high in estrogen. And it's very easy to spot these people, particularly if you have a testosterone mind. I feel very at ease when I'm around people that are high in estrogen. And the reason I do is because they kind of alleviate all the tenseness that is constantly in your mind that is made from testosterone and just being like, there's still more to know about the psilocybin mushroom. So they are sitting there going, and tell me more about the psilocybin. I don't care what the subject is, I just like you. And so it kind of is a bit of an alleviation for that. The other thing is, people that are high in estrogen like being around people that are high in testosterone. And the reason for that is because other people are more complicated than people who are high in testosterone. People that are high in testosterone wear their heart on their sleeve because they're not interested in social dynamics normally. They're just interested in their task. So they're not going to be putting up a front. They're kind of just like, I like this person sucks. Boom, you failed. They've got that attitude to life. They're very decisive people. And the other thing that I find alleviating about it is people that are high in estrogen are usually very indecisive. My friend Mislav from the podcast is the classic example of that. Never put him in front of a menu. Don't do it. Just say, this is a good thing to eat. And then he'll just be like, okay. And then he'll just go on with his life. But as soon as there's possibilities that open up to them, they start to get nervous. That's why they like being around people with testosterone, because they just go, no, we're not doing that. We're going to go back and watch the Super V8 cars. They like that because it eliminates a bunch of things that they have to think about where they go, oh, well, maybe this one's good, or what about that one? But in general, they are much more likable people. People that are high in estrogen, everybody likes because they're pretty much the chances of the human world. You know, is that the name of the Pokemon that had the little egg pouch? If it's not, well, these things happen, don't they? Especially on this channel where there's very little research. I hate it when people write at the back and you be like, this is analysis shit. There's no analysis here, sorry. You're in the wrong dimension. There. So those are the two there. They get on really well. So, and play along at home to which one you are. Then there's people that are high in dopamine. People that are high in dopamine are usually very creative. They usually have very fun lives. The people that I know that I'm thinking about right now that I wish I could tell you some of the stories. But one of the ones that I constantly talk about, which is that guy that woke up naked on a highway in a stolen buggy, high in dopamine. They're about doing. They're adventurous people. They like being in different scenarios, and that's why somebody like Russell Brand, who's clearly high in dopamine, ended up, after a 4-week bender, naked in a refugee camp. That's the type of life that people that are high in dopamine lead. They're usually very susceptible to drug use, so I highly recommend that they never even get down that path. But the other thing is that they've got a very creative mind because they're constantly seeking new stimulation. So those are the positives and negatives of those people. They're very fun people to be around, but they're also usually commitment phobics, and they usually end up having a lot of different partners in their life. Frankly, I would hate to be high in dopamine, no offense. But there is a lot of positives to these people as well. The positives, of course, are that incredibly creative mind means that if they're just able to focus it, they're able to look at the world in a completely different, unique way just by existing. Now, a good example of this, actually, I was talking to the producer of Hamish and Andy on a podcast once, and I was just saying, everybody in the Hamish and Andy ecosystem is high in dopamine. Now, obviously, they've achieved a lot, but anybody in the creative department, and you can see it from all of their work, where even when they're on radio, it was constantly just, okay, now we're just going to high-five Jesus, we couldn't do that, oh, well, Lord, what a shame. That was their whole shtick. Was constantly doing memorable moments for people, so we all go, remember the time when we were, actually I wasn't there, but I listened in on it, that's not perverted. They all have that attitude to life. They are fun people to hang around with. I love hanging around those guys, but they are train wrecks at the same time. But you are able to channel it. If you're able to find a career, or especially somebody to be a partner with that is able to constantly stimulate you into doing new fun things, you two are going to be a good match for each other. Those are people that are high in dopamine. They're good for each other. And it's the same with people who are high in serotonin. People who are high in serotonin, or as they're known as builders, so for instance, people high in testosterone, directors, People that are high in estrogen, negotiators. People that are high in dopamine, explorers. And people that are high in serotonin are builders. Now, builders, a really good example of them is General George Washington. George Washington was a phenomenal planner, and he didn't get mad when the enemy would attack him. He kind of just accepted that that was the nature of war. If it was a surprise attack, that wouldn't annoy him. What would get him into fits of rage was when he'd spend all morning writing these minutes and then give it out to his generals, and then they go, what was my first minute? They go, defeat the British? You didn't read them! That was the thing that always got him nuts. Made him go nuts. Whoops, correction. And actually, my girlfriend is a good example of that. She is a classic builder. As is Miss Love's girlfriend. Usually those people get into relationships very quickly, and they're extremely loyal people. They hate challenging the rules. They love plans. They love detail. They really like, basically their whole life is just a clock and a tick list. They just like going tick, 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 tick. Okay, we've done that, and now I'm dead. That's their life. They just like, they like looking at what the time is and what they should be doing at that time. And they find that relaxing. They find planning relaxing. People that are high in estrogen and people that are high in testosterone don't. They don't like planning to that degree. People that are high in testosterone, again, just like to sit there and read about a subject all day, every day. They like getting extremely detailed analysis of things. Whereas people that are negotiators just like to move with the flow of life, and obviously people that are dopamine and people with serotonin, not a chance. People that are serotonin are extremely calming. And furthermore, they usually have a wide social network. They usually have just a few hundred people that they just go like, I talked to you for a sentence 6 months ago, friends for life, yay. They like having a wide network of people. Those are, people that are high in testosterone, they have 3 friends, my life. People that are high in estrogen, they have a few people that are like, you're my best friend. And people that are dopamine are like, I don't have any friends. I just I drove off a cliff. Psh, oh, what a good life. So those are the 4 different types. You have to determine which of those you are. And as I said before, ideally, everybody just starts dating other people, and this is something that I really think that you should focus on before you get into a relationship, because I can guarantee you that your relationship would be a lot more productive and a lot more fulfilling if you did the basic groundwork that I think you should have been taught at school, frankly, which is that if you're high in testosterone, you should be looking for somebody who is high in estrogen. If you're high in dopamine, you should be looking for somebody who is high in dopamine. And if you're high in serotonin, guess what? You'll never guess high in serotonin. Oh, what an anticlimax. So those are the things that you should be looking for in life. And if you're not in one of those relationships, you will come across a bunch of bumpy crossroads in it. There will be problems. And you have to figure out ways to satisfy both people's needs, but it won't come naturally. The relationship will have work required on it. And there's positives to that in the sense that you are able to become way less autistic as a result of dating a planner. That's nice. There's all positives and negatives to everything in life. But I'm saying that in terms of enjoyment, in terms of fulfillment, that's how it usually works out. You will see this in marriages as well. And even when they don't. So for instance, with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, classic example of testosterone and estrogen. Hillary Clinton, high in testosterone, very detail-oriented, known as a policy wonk in Washington, hated by the general public. And it's because you could just tell she's a bitch. The other thing is, when you tell with Bill Clinton, very liked, high in estrogen. That's when Helen Fisher's always joking about that, where she just goes, everybody was so concerned about Hillary Clinton becoming the first female president. And she said, we already had the first female president. It was Bill Clinton. And he was. Everybody that was in a room with him for longer than 5 minutes loved Bill Clinton. Kent Starr, the guy whose whole job was to frame him for getting his dick sucked. Try to get him impeached for that. He said, it was my job to hate Bill Clinton. And I did hate Bill Clinton every second of every day except the 5 minutes that I spent in front of Bill Clinton. Extremely likable person. Everybody that's high in testosterone is because they're very interested in you. And so those people do well together. The fact that they even he cheated on Hillary Clinton, it's very indicative of that kind of a relationship, because he would have been extremely apologetic about it. And if you ever read his biographies, obviously he is. But she, because she was testosterone, was kind of just like, my career, whatever. Bill Clinton, obviously, because he's just this kind of relationship, even when there is problems that come along, they are able to work themselves out. When there's other problems, they've already got that added stress from not neurochemically being in sync with your partner. Usually that's going to end up in a disintegration. Anyway, that was fun, wasn't it? Make sure that you give me more questions in the comments and like the video. Why not? Help a brother out. See ya.